So there's a general idea here in the UK that when the sun comes out, people stop going to the cinema. A couple of summers ago, the Danny Boyle film, Sunshine, was strangely damaged at the box office because it opened on the hottest weekend in living memory. And there's also an idea that when the sun's come out, people don't want to stay at home and watch DVDs and Blu-rays. Well, that's not going to stop me from telling you about the new Blu-ray release of Don't Look Now, high-definition transfer of Nic Roeg's finest film. Now, if you're a regular here at the blog, you'll know that I love Don't Look Now. It's a horror film, but it's so much more than that. It has a fantastic score by Pino Donaggio, which I actually really wanted to involve in the recent film music concert that we did. But one of the most interesting things about Don't Look Now, which is a story about a bereaved couple on holiday in Venice who seem to be haunted by the ghost of their lost child, is this. It's based on a short story by Daphne du Maurier. And many of the things that people think of as classic about the film are implied in the short story, but not taken any further than that. For example, in the film, one of the key themes is that at the beginning of the movie, we see the child drowning. The couple are then in Venice. Of course, Venice is waterlogged, and there is this idea that the child is somehow returning from water. Now, that's not in the short story. In the short story, Christine has died of meningitis, and that's something which the script writers brought out, that they adapted from the ideas of the short story. And one of the things that it raised was, is it often the case that screenplays based on short stories are better than screenplays based on very long novels? For example, you look at the career of Stephen King. Almost everything that Stephen King has written has at some point been turned into a film. There was a great maxim in the late 80s, early 90s that Stephen King's shopping list will be coming soon to a cinema near you. And many of those Stephen King books are completely unwieldy. One of the reasons that people like The Shining is that it does away with an awful lot of that great big bulky book that Stephen King wrote. But his best adaptations are adaptations of short stories. Think of Stand By Me, which is based on The Body. Think of The Shawshank Redemption, which is based on Rita Hayworth and Shawshank Redemption. One of the things that a short story did was allowed the filmmakers to take liberties to expand upon themes that Stephen King had brought up. Obviously, Daphne du Maurier's most famous short story is probably The Birds, which was adapted by Alfred Hitchcock, turned into a classic thriller. Other great adaptations of short stories would include things like Rollerball. Rollerball is based on a short story by William Harrison called Rollerball Murder, which actually is a very interesting short story, but a better film. Now, of course, it doesn't always work. Think of the Curious Case of Benjamin Button. Short story, unbelievably long film. So what I want to know is this. What are your favourite films based on short stories? And what are the exceptions that prove the rule? What are the stinky films that have short story sources? Let me know.